You don't hate your job. You hate that you need it. The alarm goes off, and it's not the work that gets you, it's the math. If you walked out today, you'd be in crisis by Friday. So you get up, you go, and somewhere on that commute, in that specific silence between stops, the question sits there uninvited. How did I get here? The degree, the job, the adult life assembled more or less on schedule. And still, every month ends the same way. The money arrives, the money disappears, and the gap between where you are and where you thought you'd be by now keeps not closing. This is the story of why, and what actually changes it. In the United States, only 25 states require a personal finance course to graduate high school. The other 25 do not, which means that in half the country, a person can spend 13 years in formal education and emerge with no working knowledge of compound interest, no understanding of how credit scores are calculated, no framework for what a 401k actually does, and no concept of the difference between an asset and a liability. They will, however, know the causes of World War I and how to find the area of a trapezoid. What school didn't teach, most families didn't either. Money was the subject that got changed, the bill that arrived and got quietly set aside, the conversation that happened behind closed doors, or not at all. Some families fought about it, some families avoided it entirely. Almost none of them sat down and explained it, how it worked, what it meant, what to do with it. And so a generation absorbed their financial education, not from lessons, but from atmosphere. From the tension in a parent's voice when the credit card statement arrived. From the phrase, "we can't afford that," said so many times it stopped meaning a specific purchase and started meaning something about who they were. Those unspoken lessons travel. They show up decades later in the hesitation before opening a bank statement, in the instinct to avoid the conversation, in the low-grade sense that money is something that happens to you rather than something you direct. And then suddenly, it's the first day of adulthood. A job, a salary, a credit card offer in the mail, a student loan that's been in deferment and is now coming due, a lease to sign, a 401k enrollment form to complete, a benefits package to select from. All of it arriving at once. All of it assuming a baseline of knowledge that was never actually provided. So the 22-year-old does what anyone does without a map. They watch what other people seem to do. They guess. They sign. They figure it out later. Except later, in personal finance, is the most expensive word in the language. While the 22-year-old figures it out later, the interest doesn't wait. The credit card balance compounds. The student loan accrues. The years without retirement contributions become the most expensive years of the entire working life, because the compounding that was missed in those years cannot be recovered. Time, in this equation, is the only variable that cannot be bought back. And nobody told them that, because nobody told the people who raised them, and nobody told those people either. The credit card arrives in the mail looking like an opportunity. 0% intro APR, 2% cashback, 20,000 bonus points after the first 3 months. It is marketed as a tool, and in the right hands, it is. The question is whether the person receiving it has ever been taught what the right hands look like. A $2,800 balance at 22% interest. Minimum payment $56 a month. Pay only the minimum, and 6 years pass before the balance clears. Over $1,800 paid in interest. On money already spent. On purchases that may no longer exist. This information is in the statement. It has been legally required to be in the statement since 2010. It is printed below the minimum payment box in a section called the minimum payment warning that the majority of cardholders have never read. The system discloses. It does not explain. The distinction is everything. Student loans operate by the same logic. The monthly payment is the number on the surface. The total repayment is the number that matters. A $35,000 loan at 6.5% on a standard 10-year plan costs $47,000 to repay. $12,000 paid directly to interest. Income-driven repayment, presented as relief for borrowers who can't afford the standard plan, extends the timeline to 20 or 25 years. The monthly payment drops. The total interest paid climbs, sometimes past the original principal. The borrower signed the promissory note at 18. The full financial picture of what they signed was not on the first page. or the second. It was available, requiring a calculation most 18-year-olds had never been taught to make. The workplace retirement account works differently, but the same principle applies. The default contribution is set by the employer, usually somewhere between 3 and 6%. Most employees never change it, not because 3% is enough, because changing it requires knowing it should be changed, knowing what a Roth is versus a traditional, knowing what a match means and why leaving it unclaimed is the closest thing to turning down free money that exists. None of this is hidden. All of it assumes the employee already knows. The employee almost never already knows. And so the financial internet fills the gap. Cut the latte, cancel the subscriptions, pack your lunch. The advice lands because it's accessible. It requires no prior knowledge. It produces the feeling of action. What it does not produce, in most cases, is material change. Because the latte is not the lever. The lever is the interest rate on the card. The lever is the salary negotiation that never happened. The lever is the retirement contributions that started at 32 instead of 22. Those levers are less comfortable to talk about. They require more context, more courage, more confrontation. So the internet talks about the latte, and the actual levers stay where they are. Quick pause here. If what you're hearing is hitting close to home, the 30-day spending reset is linked in the description below. It's the tool that makes the first step concrete. 30 days of tracking, no judgment, no complicated system. Just clarity on where the money is actually going. Go grab it, then come back. Because the second half of this is where things start to move. There is a point in most people's financial lives where the situation becomes bad enough that looking at it directly starts to feel worse than not knowing. The bank statement arrives, left unopened. The credit card notification, dismissed. The retirement account, not logged into since enrollment. The avoidance is not indifference. It is a response to a specific kind of pain. The pain of seeing a problem clearly with no clear sense of how to solve it. Not looking has a cost. Interest accrues on the balance that goes unmonitored. The late fee appears on the statement that goes unopened. The automatic renewal charges the card that wasn't being tracked. The credit score drops from the missed payment on the bill that felt too overwhelming to open. Small things become medium things. Medium things become large things. And when the number finally gets looked at, it is worse than it would have been, which makes looking even harder next time. The loop runs. What breaks it is a single decision, to look at the number, because a number that is seen is a problem that has a starting point. A number that is avoided is a weight that compounds without limit. And working with something, even something bad, is the only way forward that exists. The act of writing it down matters, because it moves the number from the category of things being avoided into the category of things being addressed. That shift from avoided to addressed is not a financial move. It is a psychological one. It is the one that makes every financial move after it possible. The first month of financial clarity is not a budget. It is a witness. 1 month of tracking, honestly, without adjusting behavior, where every dollar went. Groceries, subscriptions, the food delivery at midnight, the Amazon purchase that arrived and is already forgotten. All of it. The point is not to feel bad about it. The point is to see the pattern. Because without seeing the pattern, every attempt to change it is working blind. Most people find, when they do this for the first time, that the problem is not one large bad decision. It is a collection of small automatic ones. Spending that happens on reflex, on convenience, on habit, without awareness, without intention. Seeing it doesn't automatically change it, but it removes the mystery. And the mystery, the helpless sense of not knowing where the money goes, is what generates the feeling of being out of control. The tracking is the first act of control. The second move is $1,000. $1,000 in a separate account, untouched. This is not an emergency fund. Not yet. It is a buffer between the current financial situation and the next thing that will try to make it worse. The car repair that would have gone on the card. The medical bill that would have started a spiral. The appliance that broke at the worst possible moment. These things do not stop happening because the finances are tight. They happen anyway. The question is whether there is something between the event and the credit card. $1,000 is that something. It does not solve anything. It stops one specific category of problem from compounding the existing ones. The third move is the debt. Specifically, the expensive debt first. The 22% card before the 6% loan. The logic is mathematical. Every dollar paid toward a 22% balance generates a guaranteed 22% return in the form of interest no longer accruing. No investment in a standard brokerage account offers a guaranteed 22% return. The stock market historically returns about 7% after inflation. Paying off high-interest debt outperforms the market by a factor of 3. That is not a small thing. That is the highest returning financial move available to most people in debt. The sequence matters. Buffer first, so that the next emergency doesn't undo the progress. High-interest debt second, because nothing else compounds against you faster. Everything after that builds on a foundation that is no longer actively being eroded. An extra $75 a month on a $2,800 balance at 22% reduces the repayment from 6 years to under 2. It eliminates over $1,400 in interest from $75 a month. The minimum payment is designed to keep the balance alive as long as possible. Every dollar above the minimum shortens that timeline. The math here is more forgiving than most people know. Small, consistent additions to debt repayment have outsized effects because they attack the balance before interest compounds against it. The system was built to collect as much interest as possible. Extra payments are the direct counter to that system, not heroic. Just math, applied consistently. Financial progress does not feel like freedom at first, it feels like slightly less dread. The $1,000 in the buffer account does not change the job. It changes the math of leaving it. Not from impossible to easy, from impossible to eventual. And eventual, when the alternative was impossible, is everything. The trap was never the job. The trap was the absence of any alternative to the job. The financial system doesn't create that trap deliberately. It doesn't have to. It simply moves faster than the people who were never taught to navigate it. And the people who feel trapped are almost never trapped by a single bad decision. They are trapped by the accumulation of decisions made without the information that would have changed them. The student loan signed without understanding the total repayment. The credit card minimum paid without knowing what it cost. The 401k enrollment left at 3% without knowing it should be higher. None of those decisions were reckless. They were uninformed. And uninformed decisions in a financial system that charges interest daily compound into a situation that looks like a character flaw and is actually just a knowledge gap. The knowledge gap closes one piece at a time. The minimum payment warning, read once, changes how a card is used forever. The amortization schedule, calculated once, changes what an extra payment feels like. The compound interest curve, understood once, changes what it means to wait another year before starting. None of this requires a finance degree. None of it requires a high income. It requires the information, and the information, unlike the time already lost, unlike the interest already paid, is still available, starting now. The commute doesn't change overnight, the job doesn't change overnight, but the math can start changing this week. Track 1 month, build a $1,000 buffer, make one extra payment on the highest rate debt. Those 3 things, done in sequence, done consistently, do not produce immediate freedom. They produce the beginning of options. And options, when the alternative is none, change everything about how the alarm feels. The 30-day spending reset is in the description. 30 days of tracking. No complicated system, no judgment, just the clarity that makes everything else possible. That's where it starts. If this video helped you see something differently, hit subscribe. Every week, we break down the psychology of money, the real reasons people stay stuck, and the specific things that actually move the needle. And if someone in your life needed to hear this today, send it to them.